After 4 long years, Sucker Punch is back in the fold on PS5 with the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima with Ghost of Yotei. This was announced at this week's State of Play. If you missed it, we did live stream the entire stream. Go check it out on VOD on the channel if you missed it. But we are going to break down everything that we know so far about Ghost of Yotei from the PlayStation blog that has a bunch of details that are more surface level about the game itself, along with my breakdown of the trailer itself that I got a lot of really cool details in, especially one key detail that really does point to the possible plot of Ghost of Yotei and Atsu's journey. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Link below is in the description to both the PlayStation blog and the full trailer for Ghost of Yotei, but this is from the PlayStation blog first up here. Ghost of Yotei is apparently launching in 2025 on PS5 and PS5 Pro, along with having a new protagonist named Atsu. And Ghost of Yotei is set in 1603, which so happens to be 300 years after the events of Ghost of Tsushima. The game will be taking place in the land surrounding Mount Yotei, a towering peak in the heart of Izo, an area of Japan known as the Hokkaido in present day. So this game is going to not pick up right where Jin Sagai's story left off at the end of Ghost of Tsushima, and we'll pick up with a new hero in a new part of Japan in a completely new era of Japan as well, being 300 years after the original game of Ghost of Tsushima. And so Sucker Punch here does detail in the blog that they wanted to maintain the core pillars of what Ghost of Tsushima was, quote, playing as a wandering warrior in feudal Japan, offering freedom to explore at your own pace, and highlighting the beauty of the world, while also innovating with this sequel to make something new yet familiar. And this desire that Sucker Punch had to go beyond the story of Jin Sakai and beyond the island of Tsushima itself shifted their focus to the idea of the ghost itself instead. And as said here in the blog, Sucker Punch has a deep love for origin stories, and they wanted to explore what it could mean to have a new hero wearing a ghost mask uncovering a brand new legend. And so to me, I think this is a really interesting idea to take the IP and franchise of Ghost, right, and make it more of a title that has multiple heroes taking on this title of the ghost of blank, a ghost of a different area of Japan, a ghost of a different time area too of Japan that tells a different story and tells a different kind of unfolding of what the ghost title means at its essence. And I'll be honest, man, to me at first I was a little bit hesitant on the notion of not getting some sort of follow-up to Jin Sakai, where Jin Sakai was seemingly going to be teed up to go to mainland Japan and take on the Shogun and all that after his whole dealings in Tsushima. So it is definitely a bold take that we're not going to be able to seemingly have that story here in this game, but who knows, guys? The game is not out yet till next year. We gotta see what happens. Maybe there is some ways that Atsu is tied to Jin Sakai in some shape, form, or fashion, and there may be details about that in the trailer that we will go over later on in the video. But to me, at the end of the day, I trust Sucker Punch. The trailer looked great, so I am all in on Ghost of Yotei and what they're trying to do here with this sequel. So the lands around Mount Yotei are outside of the Japanese rule and are, quote, filled with sprawling grasslands, snowy tundras, and unexpected dangers. The blog points out that this is different than the organized clans of Tsushima, so we may be encountering a lot of dangerous Ronins, as the trailer suggests later on that many of them flee to this area to get away from the Japanese ruling. They do say that this will be an original story that will be told, so the narrative might not have any clear historical backing like Ghost of Tsushima did with the Mongol invasion, but that's left to be seen in the full game, guys. We'll see how that goes, but they could just mean that they're just telling an original story with Atsu. Sucker Punch does emphasize that this is the very first project that they are exclusively working on PS5, which will be able to afford them to include things such as, quote, massive sight lines that let you look far across the environment, whole new skies featuring twinkling stars and auroras, and even more believable movement from wind on grass and vegetation, and more improvements to come as well. And lastly here, they disclose on the blog that the game will feature, quote, new mechanics, gameplay improvements, and even new weapons, with some of them I was able to spot in the trailer as well. So speaking of the trailer, let's get right into the full breakdown. So the trailer opens up with a couple shots that really set the scene of this this new era and this new area of Japan here with Ghost of Yotei, and it's in black and white, which could be calling back to the famous Akira Kurosawa Japanese films that the original Ghost of Tsushima paid homage to by allowing players to play the entire game in black and white with Kurosawa mode. So I'm willing to bet that that same Kurosawa mode is coming to Ghost of Yotei. That has to be definitely in there for sure. So we get a lot of setting shots around this area, around Mount Yotei, and we see this temple here in ruins. Seems to be right after a battle of some sort, so we will get to that later on in the video towards the end. But we do get a brief flash, of course, of the game starting in 1603 where this game takes place, and then we get this interesting shot of this wolf. And so this wolf, we'll see in some layer scenes that this wolf seems to potentially be some sort of companion to Atsu, the playable character in Ghost of Yotei, but not too sure about that yet. But there's plenty of clues that we can maybe suggest that this wolf could be a companion of Atsu's. But this wolf also seems to be an extinct type of Japanese wolf called the Honshu. Once again, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing all of these words, I'm trying here, but Honshu, which were long revered back in the day in Japan, but they introduced rabies and canine distemper to Japan that led to the decimation of the population, and policies were enacted that led to the persecution and eventual total extermination of this subspecies of wolf by the early 20th century. So these wolves seem to be, you know, definitely not around anymore today, but it is cool to see them here in Ghost of Yotei. So after that really cool blood in the sand fade into color moment in the trailer, we get this wanted poster that translates to a reward of 100 yen for this woman's head. Rumors of sighting on Mount Yotei, 28 to 29 years old. So huge thanks to my homie Owen here, friend of the channel. He will be back with a vengeance later on in this video, translating another big key thing, a part of Ghost of Yotei that we found in this trailer. But overall, we can see here that our main character here will be hunted in this north area of Japan that surrounds Mount Yotei, and the trailer does have some VO from this other mysterious character that I have some theories on, where he says, quote, "We are beyond the edge of Japan, people come north to disappear, but you are hunting, and now every Ronin here is after you, still think you're the hunter." So considering that this is him, I do think that he is one of these, you know, specific Ronins that could be hunting Atsu for a variety of reasons that I have some pretty concrete details later on in the video. But to start to piece this together, we see that the katana that is to the right that's holding up the wanted poster does have some snakes in it. So this could mean, you know, the direct kind of tie to this person's identity, that maybe it is a nickname of some sort, and we will get to that, you know, later on. But if we're looking at it from a bit of a Japanese mythological view, snakes were revered as sacred beings, embodying themes of renewal, fertility, and the duality of nature as both protectors and omens of disaster. I want you to hold on to that omens of disaster line in just a moment here. I want to jump to Atsu's ghost mask here next up, because this is definitely the same mask that Jin had from his father's armor of the clan Sakai, right? So that's definitely Jin's ghost mask, but it's now white with this gold piping along cracks of the mask. And so this mask clearly has to have some sort of symbolism to the title of the ghost, being that Sucker Punch is going in that direction with the ghost title. And Jin Sakai, once again, you know, got this from his father's armor. So maybe Atsu could potentially be a descendant of the Sakai clan, with Sucker Punch highlighting that, you know, she is a brand new character, although. So that is a, you know, notion that could be against this theory. But they are really keen on making sure that we are aware that this game does take place 300 years after Ghost of Tsushima. So I don't think it's too crazy to maybe put out there that Atsu could very much end up being Atsu Sakai and be some sort of descendant to the Sakai clan and Jin Sakai as a whole. But we'll have to see when the full game was out, guys. I'm just theorizing here, because why else would she have that mask unless the ghost legendary, you know, title of being a ghost is so sacred that it's somehow passed down through this mask, through different generations, through different people and different eras. But we'll have to see when the full game comes out. And another reason why I think this could be the exact same mask is because of those gold cracks. And so this is based off of Kintsugi, which is also known as golden repair. So Kintsugi is the Japanese art of replacing broken pottery by mending the areas of breakage with urushi lacquer dusted or mixed with powdered gold, silver, or platinum. So in this case, it's gold. So this could lend to the theory that this is actually Jin's mask, and it's seen some crazy fights and crazy days since the time that it has been with Jin Sakai, all the way up here to Atsu's period in 1603. Now we get a really cool close-up shot at Atsu's katana hilt. So this depicts two wolves chasing each other. So this could be symbolic in the Japanese mythological sense, where wolves typically mean loneliness with pride, as Atsu is a lonely wandering Ronin in this game. But two wolves chasing each other could also mean something that maybe fans of God of War Ragnarok could remember a few years back, where in Greek myth, these represent Skul and Hati, where they endlessly chase the moon and sun, causing them to rise and fall, creating our days here on Earth. One of the true signs of Ragnarok is that these wolves eventually catch the sun and the moon, causing the Earth to enter darkness forever and collapse into the true era of Ragnarok. So that is kind of crazy to bring up a kind of Greek myth in this game, but I do want to just put a pin in that for just a second here, because it's going to pay off and kind of make sense later on in this breakdown. But just keep in mind that she might have this hilt for a very specific reason that ties into Mount Yotei itself. After Atsu kills this man that was saying the monologue in the beginning of the trailer, we see here that the wind mechanic does seem to make a return to Ghost of Yotei here, with Atsu getting her attention focused into the direction of the wind. And so this could mean that this was some sort of main objective for the game, because of course, if you guys didn't remember somehow, right, in Ghost of Tsushima, the wind mechanic was a way for you to have a waypoint that was naturally integrated into the open world itself. And so you would follow the wind streams to get to your nearest waypoint that you marked on the map, or a nearby objective in the game of Ghost of Tsushima. So this seems to be coming back, but this could indicate that this was some sort of main sequence scenario, and that one of the main foundations of this game is for Atsu to hunt these different Ronin that are after her, if this man with the snake katana is indeed a Ronin that is after Atsu. And I do have evidence to back me up, but I promise, just let me keep cooking here, baby. Let me keep cooking with this breakdown. So after the logo splashes on, we get this beautiful shot of Atsu standing in front of Mount Yotei with her horse. And so this is the center of the game's open world, as we learned from the blog. So it's useful to know here that Mount Yotei is actually a volcano as well. And so this could funnel into the theory of the more Greek mythological way of looking at Atsu's, two wolves that are chasing each other on her katana hilt, because the most recent eruption was recorded in 1050 BC, but maybe Sucker Punch could be telling an original story in that sense, where the volcanic eruption somehow is happening in the modern day with Atsu. So that snake on the other Ronin's katana hilt could point to this being an omen to a disaster of the Mount Yotei volcano exploding. And maybe another point to that is Atsu's, two wolves that are chasing each other. That is also an omen to the end times, to a big cataclysmic event that could be happening. That's probably a reach. But just so you know, it is a volcano, so we'll see, man. That could potentially be a part of this game story. But what's more pertinent to also know here as well is that when you look at Google Maps at the surrounding areas of Mount Yotei, there are conveniently 4 different clusters of civilization. So maybe those will be the 4 regions that we travel to on our travels throughout the game of Ghost of Yotei. We'll go to these different locations centered around Mount Yotei. From this point on in the trailer, we hear the Shamisen being played, and that is the same instrument that is also on Atsu's back. So the Shamisen is a 3-string traditional Japanese musical instrument derived from the Chinese instrument, the sanixen. This surely will be the replacement for Jin's flute in Ghost of Tsushima, as you were able to play the flute as Jin Sakai in the original game. So I bet we'll be able to strum and play melodies on Atsu's Shamisen with the DualSense touchpad as a replacement here in this game. So very cool to see that. Next up, we get some open shots of gameplay in the open world of Ghost of Yotei. We see some really cool wide shots as well. I do love that we have a very wide field of view for this gameplay in this game, because if you guys remember from Ghost of Tsushima and a lot of games honestly on PS4, they had very tight field of views over overall. So very happy to see that we're going to be able to, you know, push that camera back, maybe have it be adjustable as well. That'd be nice too. But it is cool to see, you know, these wild horses in the game as well, just roaming around, this many of them as well, roaming around the game in the open world. Very cool to see. But if we look a little bit more closely at these quick shots, we do see some strongholds that are around, you know, the open world as Atsu is traveling it. So maybe these tall buildings and strongholds could be where we have our main enemies or our Ronins that are hunting us throughout the game in these strongholds around the areas surrounding Mount Yotei. So we get this really cool shot of Atsu standing in front of like a doorway or bar, social gathering type of place, and it's very reminiscent to me of those old American westerns that were in turn influenced by samurai films initially. So it's very cool that, you know, you couple these type of aesthetic looks here with the Shamisen tune that kind of feels a bit of like a cowboy vibe for this game, that feels very, you know, western kind of a feel to it with this overall vibe of Ghost of Yotei. I think it's a very cool kind of blending of different inspirations that tie back into each other, because westerns were initially tied and inspired to samurai films back in the day first up. So very cool to kind of have this little kind of loop around habit sense of a bunch of different influences kind of melding together here with the western genre and Japanese films alike. This was pointed out on the blog, but just want to show it here really quickly and highlight it here because we do see Atsu looking at an Aurora Borealis in the night sky. This game is going to look incredible on PS5 and especially PS5 Pro, and eventually probably on PC, as historically we are going to probably get a PC port for this game as well. This game is going to look phenomenal at night. In this next scene, it does look like shrines will be making a return for Ghost of Yotei here that will aid Atsu in upgrading equipment or upgrading skills of some shape, form, or fashion, just like in Ghost of Tsushima. But it looks like someone here is also in the area of the shrine, so this could potentially be a duel that Atsu will have to engage with, or maybe just a quest giver, who knows. But there is someone right there in front of the shrine. Just wanted to point that out there as well. We get a nice look at some snow in Ghost of Yotei here, and this was cited in the blog with there being snowy tundras around this area of the game. And then we get these next two shots here that look very cinematic to me and look very cutscene like to me as well, but I do think this could be a new look at the returning standoff mechanic in Ghost of Tsushima, because it looks like the enemy has her katana or their katana at the ready, and we have Atsu slowly unsheathing her katana as well. So it seems like this could be a new and improved look at a standoff mechanic like in Ghost of Tsushima, where in that game you could challenge enemies in the open world to a standoff, requiring you to read enemy movements to execute precise attacks to land fatal blows and kill them, right? And in standoff mechanics, timing was everything in these type of scenarios, and so this could be just, you know, a new look at it. This could be a cutscene for all we know, but to me, you know, just the way things are positioned, it kind of looks like it could very much well be a new and improved standoff mechanic in Ghost of Yotei. Now this next shot here starts to kind of put everything I've been kind of pitching up in this video into place here. So we see what could just be a regular combat engagement that Atsu will surely engage with, a bunch of warriors around the ruins of a temple and stuff like that, or like some sort of building, right? And we will, you know, probably find Atsu in a lot of these different circumstances throughout Ghost of Yotei, but this shot could also be tied to the temple ruins we saw at the very beginning of the trailer in the black and white, because the doors seem to match, right? And it does seem to also be burning as well and having this sort of like decay, like a battle just took place and stuff like that. They have a similar vibe going on here, just the later one here that we're looking at now is in color. But the shot after this could shed some more light on what could be going on here, right? So we take a look at Atsu's sash, right? So this next shot appears to be from the scene earlier in the trailer where Atsu kills that man that had the snake katana and was narrating the VO and stuff like that. If you look at the night sky and the way Atsu's clothes are, it looks like this is the exact same, you know, scene, like right after she kills him and stuff like that. But my man Owen made a crazy discovery here as he was translating the words on the sash that Atsu carries on her hip. And it says demon, fox, dragon, spider, snake, and Saito, all from top to bottom on this sash, okay? So with that being said, Atsu wipes the blood mark from the guy that had the snake katana over the word snake on her sash. And so what this could be pointing to is that Atsu has killed the Ronin with the spider katana, and that, you know, spider katana could be pointing to this Ronin being named Spider, or a nickname being Spider on this hit list sash that Atsu carries. So Atsu is not only like a straight up certified G, but she is carrying her hit list on her hip in public for everyone to see at all times, and she is hunting these Ronin that are trying to hunt her as well. So could this group here in front of the building be a part of one of the Ronins that are hunting Atsu, because they are also in this animal like equipment as well? Like one has antlers, you know what I'm saying? One could even be the demon or the spider or the fox or whoever else is on her list, on her hit list, on her sash that she carries on her hip. Like, this is a crazy discovery, guys. Let me know what you guys think down below. Very big shout out to Owen for finding this and translating this for me, because I was not going to be able to do this, you know, without Owen. And this is a crazy thing that is clear here, that Atsu be carrying her hit list on her hip and is going around and killing these Ronin that have nicknames that are like animals. And that is crazy to see here in Ghost of Yotei. In this last sequence of the trailer, we get a look at the wolf again that is growling at Atsu, but then stops when the wind kind of directs his attention, or her attention, this wolf's attention, into the distance. And so this just makes me believe that this could be another indication that this wolf is indeed a companion to Atsu and will accompany you, maybe alongside your horse as well, on this quest to perhaps kill these Ronin that are hunting you. And maybe this wolf could help out with finding some different, you know, collectibles or different, you know, things that you need around the open world. Maybe the wolf will be able to do that or help you in combat. We'll see. But this wolf could potentially be also helping you on your quest around Ghost of Yotei. And the last section here of the breakdown, we do have a quick sizzle reel of different weapons that we'll see around the game of Ghost of Yotei. At first, we see, you know, the dual wielding katanas that is also in this quick sizzle reel. So we see, you know, Atsu wielding 2 katanas. We see a fire katana as well that could be making its return from Ghost of Tsushima, where you were able to access this blade and this like ability that you lit your blade on fire and you were able to do chip damage after you hit enemies with your katana in Ghost of Tsushima. Next up, we have this weapon here called the Kusarigama, which is a Japanese weapon that has a type of metal chain with a heavy iron weight at the end of it. So we're going to be able to see, you know, Atsu going crazy with this weapon, along with a weapon called a Tanegashima, which is aka a matchlock musket in English. That's a firearm that was introduced to the Japanese culture in 1543 by the Portuguese Empire. So with this connection of this type of musket being introduced by the Portuguese Empire, maybe they could play a significant role in this game's story and conflict within Ghost of Yotei, but we'll have to see when the full game comes out. And I would probably bet that this musket will replace the bow and arrows that we saw in Ghost of Tsushima, making this musket the primary way of engaging in long range combat. That could possibly be a thing here, but we'll have to see once again when the full game comes out. But that is all we know about Ghost of Yotei and my trailer breakdown for this game. I am incredibly excited to go into this new journey with Atsu and see what's going on around the lands of Mount Yotei. How do you guys feel about this trailer, guys? What are your thoughts on the game? Are you excited for it? Are you going to buy it day one? Let me know all your thoughts down below in that comment section. Also, if I got some theories wrong, or maybe I was thinking in like a different way that you saw something in this trailer footage, let me know your thoughts down below in that comment section. Like the video if you enjoyed it, as well as stay subscribed to PlayStation Source to keep up with the latest and greatest in PlayStation. Thank you all for watching, and as always, greatness awaits.